You walk into any electronics store, and it's an ambush. Row after row of glowing rectangles, each brighter, punchier, buzzier than the last. Competing not just for attention, but for belief. They don't tell the truth. They perform it. There's Quantum this, Ultra that, Promax Blackness Plus. Some claim AI. Some promise realism so real, it feels like 3D without the glasses. But no one tells you what matters. They only tell you what sells. You stop in front of two screens, one labeled OLED, one stamped QLED, and you're suddenly in a marketing war disguised as a light show. They look similar, almost identical even. But behind those three-letter acronyms sit two very different philosophies, and one very expensive decision. Because buying the wrong one? It's not just a tech mistake. It's a decade of watching your favorite movies lose their magic. So let's put a flashlight to the hype and talk about what actually matters before you invite a screen into your home. Every year, homes get smarter, but screens somehow get louder. Not sonically, but visually. Brighter brightness, faster refresh rates, smarter engines powering deeper contrast with algorithmic precision. But beneath the glitz, a deeper question flickers. What are we really chasing here? Because at some point, pixels stopped being about pictures and became a proxy for progress. We weren't watching, we were measuring. But a screen's worth can't be summed up in nights or nanocoatings. It's measured in moments. A quiet morning watching documentaries with your daughter sprawled across the carpet, a late-night binge with your dog curled into your thigh, a Sunday rewind of childhood VHS transfers that somehow look better than they should. That's where the picture matters. That's where screens belong. So let's get past the tech flex, past the marketing fog, and into the real story. OLED versus QLED. Let's begin. The light within. OLED doesn't use a backlight. It doesn't need one. Each pixel is its own star, a self-illuminating atom in a galaxy of color. Which means, and this matters, when something is black, it's actually black. Not dark gray, not dimmed, black. Like the void between planets, the pixels shut off entirely. They vanish, light dies, drama blooms. When you watch an OLED in the dark, it becomes invisible. All you see is the story. Voices seem to float in space. And somehow, everything feels deeper. It doesn't show shadow, it breathes it. On OLED, contrast isn't a feature, it's a feeling. But QLED plays a different game. It still needs a backlight. Millions of tiny beams pushing through color filters to light the image loud, strong, blunt force visual power. It's not wrong, it's just not subtle. If OLED is candlelight on hardwood, QLED is stadium lights on concrete. Its blacks will never be true blacks. There's always a bit of glow, a bit of compromise. Shadows that should feel velvet come off slightly grayish. But here's the plot twist, the brightest room. OLED may be a master of darkness, but it's no friend to sunlight. Picture this, Saturday afternoon. Curtains open, floors catching glare from every window. Your OLED can't fight it. It wasn't built for this. Suddenly, that perfect contrast, it fades. Washed out, lost in reflection. But QLED was built for chaos. Its light output is insane, often hitting up to 2,000 or even 3,000 nits. Its anti-glare coatings are not marketing fluff. They work. It doesn't dim when the sun shows up. It fights back. In rooms full of windows, kids running around, kitchen lights bouncing off floors, QLED doesn't flinch. It's your daytime warrior. So while OLED wins the night, QLED rules at noon. But these aren't just specs, they're personalities. You don't just choose a TV, you choose the light that shapes your living room. The burn-in myth. People still whisper it, don't buy an OLED, it can burn in. And yes, technically, it's possible if you keep the same image on screen for days, like a news ticker or a paused game logo. Over time, you might see it faintly etched into the pixels. But modern OLEDs, they've adapted. Pixel shifting, logo dimming, intelligent refresh cycles. They're far smarter than the ghost stories you've heard. You'd have to try pretty hard to damage one. Keep the NBA scoreboard paused for 36 hours. Treat it like a billboard. Otherwise, you'll be fine. QLED avoids this altogether, thanks to never turning its pixels all the way off. But with that comes trade-offs. Less control, less precision, a screen that's more durable but less delicate. The living room test. Here's something you won't hear in spec sheets. Not everyone sits in front of the TV. Some of us are curled on the side pillow, folding laundry. Some were standing in the kitchen asking, "Wait, what just happened?" with a baby on one hip. OLED, it doesn't care where you sit, angle, off-center, it still looks beautiful. Still deep, still vivid, but QLED, move 30 degrees off-center and the shimmer fades. Black becomes gray, color flattens, and suddenly, your premium screen feels like a hotel lobby display. Again, it's not a flaw, just a characteristic. QLED asks you to sit front row only. OLED invites everyone in the house to see it the same. The real problem. Your greatest enemy in this decision isn't OLED or QLED, it's a distraction, endless acronyms. Neo, quantum, hyperreality, cognitive processors, they don't tell you what matters. They shift your focus, and when you start chasing features instead of experience, you lose sight of the screen you actually need. So let's reset. Forget brand names, forget shelf labels, forget the number next to contrast ratio. This choice is about your room, your eyes, your lifestyle. Not their marketing, the dog hair on the screen. There's this thing no one tells you about. Half the time, the TV matters less than the moment around it. You're not watching an Oscar-worthy film in pitch black silence. You're watching Encanto for the 5th time while trying not to step on a plastic dinosaur. There's a coffee cup balanced on the arm of the sofa. The dog is panting on the floor. A toy is halfway under the stand, and no one feels like crawling to get it. This isn't a test environment. It's your living room. And this is where the difference between OLED and QLED reveals itself. Because OLED, for all its wonder, is vulnerable to the environment. It begs for perfection. Dim lights, thick curtains, attention. QLED, it shrugs. It's not romantic. It's reliable. Bright when it needs to be. Strong when the room is chaotic. It doesn't care if your kid smears peanut butter on the remote. It'll still fire up Netflix like nothing happened. So what are you buying? Technical superiority or screen serenity amid the storm? OLED's burning beauty. Back to OLED. It's easy to fall in love with not just the blacks. It's the texture, the motion, the way skin tones feel natural even in shifting light. In a dark scene, it feels alive. Glowing eyes, faint candle flickers, distant sparks from a fire. OLED doesn't overdo it. It listens. Every color blooms from black, not from white. That's the secret. It's not painting light, it's revealing. But that perfection demands care. It wants you to dim the lights. Turn off background app, refresh adjust settings, update firmware, and once you tune it just right, magic. Pure, delicious, cinematic stillness. But not everyone tunes. So if you're the kind that adjusts brightness once and never again, OLED's beauty may not bloom for you. It's a violin. You have to tune it. QLED, the workhorse with glare armor. Then there's the QN90D, Samsung's fortress. A QLED that doesn't pretend to be elegant, it just works. This is the TV for the wide window crowd. Open concept spaces, skylights overhead. QLED doesn't care. Reflections, diffused, direct sun, absorbed, it doesn't panic in real light, it performs. You can vacuum with the game on. Yell from the kitchen. Let YouTube Kids autoplay for hours. It keeps going like it was engineered by tank designers, not artists. Sure, you lose some of OLED's moody elegance. Colors sometimes feel like they've been pre-sprayed with Gatorade. But if your goal is brilliant anytime, anywhere, That's the price. This isn't about good versus bad. It's about choosing between raw intimacy and rugged consistency. The PS5 test. Let's talk about gaming. You either care or you don't. But for those who do, hear this. OLED is the undisputed king of reaction speed. When you swing your sword, fire your shot, throw a pass, it happens now. Pixel response time is near invisible, fast, fluid, sharp. It's not just about smooth 120 Hz. It's the feel, the absence of blur, the instant motion, as if your screen is nervous to keep up with you. Gamers call it buttery. They're right. You feel connected. QLEDs can match the refresh rates, carry the same features, G-Sync, VRR, FreeSync, all the acronyms. But there's a thin veil between command and reaction, a microsecond, a fraction. But once you've gamed on OLED, it's hard to forget. It's the difference between fine and flawless. But remember, if your console runs 9 hours a day with a paused screensaver, go QLED, because OLED will age faster under that stress. So even here, screen choice becomes lifestyle choice. The wraparound life. And this is where tech reviews usually fall apart. They compare features, contrast ratios, brightness benchmarks. They treat TVs like lab projects. But we don't live in labs. We live in chaos and quiet. Morning cartoons, midnight noir, conversations around credits, reflections on floors. Parents who fall asleep halfway through a movie. Kids who press input buttons until the HDMI vanishes. TVs don't live in ideal conditions. They live in ours. That means the right TV isn't the one that scores best on a chart. It's the one that forgives you when you forget to close the curtains. The peaceful decision. So let me make this painfully simple. If you live in a space that dims beautifully, you care about cinema, you mostly watch at night. You're okay maintaining the settings once in a while. You want beauty that makes you forget the screen exists. Buy an OLED LG C4 or Sony A95L. Choose one, you won't regret it. But if your room is bright, the windows spill light across your floors. The kids are wild, you just want it to work. Your stream shows more than you judge picture quality. QLED Samsung, QN90D Hisense U8N, or the TCL M8 if your budget is smart. You'll still get a gorgeous picture, and it'll survive your life. No fear, no baby-proofing, no dimming rituals, just play, watch, live, because after all this, the final illusion. TV makers thrive off one thing more than anything else. The next gen, next layer, next contrast. But what they really want is your next payment. They aren't selling improvements, they're selling upgrades. Because when you walk into that glowing showroom, eyes wide, specs memorized, ready to make your smartest choice, the trick has already worked. You're chasing brightness. But what you really want is presence. You want to lose yourself in the story, to feel again, to let go. So when this decision starts feeling like a tech exam, remember, you're not buying a spec sheet. You're buying a second living room. Let it feel human. Soft light, real noise, messy moments, mood, not perfection, presence. They want one that's smart enough to work. Before you go, hit that subscribe button. We don't just review, we expose. From the hype to the hidden failures to the tricks brands hope you'll never question. So, hit like, tap subscribe, and join thousands of smart shoppers who already know. Smart spending starts with asking smarter questions.